Okay, so today I would like to describe to you the new bookings feature in Alma. I would like to go through some of the basic use cases of booking, describe to you some of the configuration issues that are around making booking functionable, and of course describe the library use cases and some of the workflows with booking. But first I'd like to briefly describe what booking is about. Booking is pretty much based on reservations, requests, or hold requests, as we know in Alma and as has been part of Alma since day one. But what's added into the booking functionality as opposed to normal requests is the option to make these requests time-framed, in the sense that you request an item and you say from when till when you want this item to be available. That means that requests can be placed only when the system figures out that the resource is indeed available. And once the request has been placed, the system will make sure that the item does become indeed available for the requester at the requested time. What this enables is that it enables making coordinated availability of resources, so that you get a bunch of resources at the same time if you need them all for a specific day. It allows better control of short-term loans, so that you can create requests for time frames, and by that be able to make the resource available for all of the requesters, which may happen to be a long line of requesters. And it also creates a library commitment to supply the requested resource at a requested time frame, as opposed to normal requests where there is a queue and the requester will receive the item when the item becomes available. The use cases that we had in mind when putting this functionality into Alma are actually two. One is a remote researcher workflow, where there's a requester that knows he'll be at the library sometime next week, sometime next month, whatever. And since he's not a person that shows up at the library regularly, he needs to make sure that when he does show up at the library, all of the resources that he needs will be there at the required time. So this researcher will be able to find 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever resources he needs, and be able to schedule them so that next week or the week after, whenever he's going to be at the library, all of these resources are going to be there waiting for him, and he's not going to make a trip to the library and not be able to make use of all of the resources he needs. So that's one use case that bookings are intended to solve and support. Another one, as I've mentioned, is the high demand workflow. That is when big number of requesters are waiting for the same resource, to be able to control the resource so that everybody makes use of the resource and everybody can get to the resource and make maximum use of it. Library is able to define this resource as bookable, so that everybody will know when exactly the resource will be available, get it for a short period of time, and be able to make use of the resource and free it for the next requester. So what I'll show now, I'll hop into Alma and actually show some of the configurations that are needed to make booking functionable, and then we'll go into the process of requesting booking requests and actually managing them at the circulation desk. So I'll start by going into Alma and actually looking at the configurations. In the fulfillment configuration menu, and looking at the fulfillment unit, and at its rules. Now we've had the loan rules and the request rules as options for configurations pretty much from day one. We now have a new set of rules that may be configured, which is the booking rules. Utilizing booking rules, we can set up rules for when items will be requestable and by whom, and a number of other policies, as we'll see in a minute. The rules are being set up just as they are for requests and loans, that is, using inputs such as type of user, type of resource. You may set up when an item is going to be requestable and under what terms of use. So if you look at a sample rule that I've set up here, we can see a rule that does not make use of any input parameters, meaning it really serves as a default rule, everything will fall into this. But I may add conditions to this rule, just like I do for any other fulfillment rule, and can say that the terms of use that is part of this rule will be usable only for items of a specific location, or for users of a specific user group or a specific job category. So I can set up rules based on my resources or my patrons, just as I do for requests and loans. The terms of use are booking terms of use, so that we actually have a new type of terms of use and a new type of booking of policy types, which are booking. These are the types of policies that are part of a booking terms of use. We can go briefly through them just to explain what they're about. A release time would mean how long after a request has been activated it may be regarded as unfilled if the user does not show up to make use of the resource. So by saying 1 hour, it means that if I place a booking for a resource at 12 noon today and I do not show up by 1 p.m., this resource is going to be freed for anybody else to make use of. I have 1 hour to make use of my booking before everybody else can also make use of the same resource. The next one is obvious. This is just to say whether the item is bookable or not. And the one after that is to say how long can a booking be made for. 5 days means that I can make a booking for 5 days, meaning from Sunday to Thursday. So I can get it for a full working week, but not for 2 weeks. The maximum is 5 days. The preview period means how long before my booking is active will this reservation be considered active. In other words, it's going to be blocked from other users from making use of. So a half hour before my 12 noon booking is active, meaning at 11:30 a.m., nobody else will be able to take this resource out of the library. It's already considered reserved for my use. Pickup locations is just like the request pickup locations. And please note that bookings as they are released now should be used as only requestable in library. The process of putting resources in transit to other libraries is not yet part of the booking functionality. So you should always use a pickup location policy of in library, as in this example. The future limit means how far into the future I can make my booking. As this policy has been set up, I cannot make any booking request which starts further than a week away from today. That of course will be open to policies. You can set it up to be a month, 3 months, a year, whatever would be the policy that the library would want to enable placing bookings for. The back-to-back booking is there to be able to control how long after a booking would the same requester be able to place another booking. This is to prevent users from so to speak, hogging resources by placing bookings that are one after the other and actually preventing anybody else from making use of the resource. So if I say 1 hour, as is in this example, if I have a booking that starts at 12 p.m., I cannot make another booking that ends later than 11 a.m. that same morning. I must leave an hour between my bookings so for somebody else to make use of. And again, this could be set up in hours, days, weeks, whatever would be the appropriate policy for the resource that is being used, the user that is allowed to request, and of course the use case that it is intended to support. So this is pretty much all of the configurations. We'll see another one later on, but this is pretty much all we have to set up. Rules for what is bookable, under what terms of use, just like as we do for any other resources for loans and requests, making use of these policies that we've just briefly gone through. So let me show you an example of real usage of a booking, and we'll start by finding a resource. And this is actually an example that I've prepared for our demonstration today. I found a resource. I have cataloged this for the purpose of our example today. It's called Demonstrating Booking. And it's a resource that has one copy, and I would like to place a request on it. Placing a request can be done from within Alma by staff on behalf of a patron, or by the patron from Primo, which of course would be the normal way to do it. The patron would be requesting it himself from Primo. I will demonstrate the Primo action through the get it option that I have here, being logged in with my special user into Alma here, to show us what it looks like. I'll actually open this in another window so we can get it large enough to see. We have the get it here, and one of the options on the top, the request options, is the request option. This is where the booking is going to be placed from. I'll click on this request link and get the request form that we've had up till now, but it now has a new option here, which is the request type, which could be either hold or booking. Hold is the good old hold request that we've had until now, but by clicking booking, I get the option to place a booking request. Notice the form, which is quite similar to the form that we've had for requests, but with the option to place start time and end time here, which is of course characteristic of booking requests. They have start and end times. But if I want to know when my resource will be available, and the system will not let me place requests if the resource is not available, I need to see some calendar that exposes the availability of this resource. For that, I use the check availability option over here. I'll click on that and get in another tab, get the availability calendar. It's a calendar. You can see you can view it on a weekly, as a weekly calendar or as a daily one. There's the calendar on the side here, so I can look at specific dates if I'm doing this weekly or if I'm doing this daily. And as you can see, I can see the red marks saying it is not available. So on Wednesday, July 17th, it's not going to be available before 11 a.m. But the rest of the week seems okay, seems available. So I know now that if I want to place my request for July 18th, I can just place this request. Or of course for later on July 17th. I will do that. I will place my request for July 17th at 2 p.m. So I choose July 17th at 2 p.m. until later on the same day. I need it for 3 hours. You notice that the form currently does not have a time widget like it has for the date. It will have in due time. We of course plan some more fine-tuning of this form, but currently the way that it's filled is as I've demonstrated to you right now, which is you look at the calendar, you see when it's available, and then you have to type in the start and end time. I'll place my request. As you see, the request has been placed. We have the request placed, and if I go back to my Alma screen, I can look at my requester and see the request. So I'm pulling now the requester information. That's the requester for whom I have placed this request. I'll look at his fulfillment activities, and as you know, we have a requests tab over here. That is not new. It includes the list of requests that have been placed by this patron, including normal hold requests, but also the booking requests in here with a type that distinguishes the booking requests from the normal hold requests. Of course, for booking requests, the list shows start and end time. So when I'm looking at a booking request, I can know exactly when it's been placed, for when it's placed, and until when it is active. That is my start and end time over here. Of course, the booking request is also included in my requests list in Primo, and I've just hopped into the Primo and looking at my account in Primo, looking at the requests tab, I can see that the list of requests, including the booking requests, are also listed in here, including the start and end time, and including the option to cancel the request. What I like to do now is show the booking request and show actually using this booking request with its start and end time. But perhaps before I do that, let's go back to the availability calendar and see what it looks like right now. So I'll go into the look for the resource again. That's my demonstrating booking title. And this time I'll go into the process of placing the request from the Alma interface using the request link. I'll click on request and get the request form, just like I do for physical requests until now. But now, in addition to the physical item request, the digitization requests that we've had until now, I have a new option for a booking request. I'll select that, I'll identify the requester. There's nothing different in that process. So here's my requester. And you see that being that I selected booking request as an option, I get the start and end time options over here, which are of course mandatory for a booking request. And I get the availability calendar down here. Now you can see that in addition to the unavailable slot of time that we've seen before I placed the request, there is an additional unavailable slot over here, which starts a half an hour before my request is active at 2 p.m. That's because of the half-hour preview time that we've defined, and ends at 5 p.m. That is my booking request. Now do note that it shows as unavailable because the resource that we're looking at has only one copy. Therefore, being that the reservation has been made and a booking is placed, it is not available for any other loans or booking requests. If I've had 2 copies for this, then the fact that there's one booking request would have not blocked anybody else from placing another booking request, being that there are 2 resources that may fulfill the request. So in short, that is to say that the availability calendar takes into account not only the bookings and loans that the items may be in, but also the number of copies that may be used to fulfill this request. Okay, I will not place another request. I would like to show what happens to the booking request when the resource is actually used. For that purpose, I'll go into the circulation desk, and I'll demonstrate a situation where somebody else shows up at the circulation desk and tries to take out this resource, which has been booked by somebody else. So I'm currently showing up at the circulation desk as another user, not the implementers for which we have placed a request, but using another user, and I'll try to take out this item. That we've booked. Notice the message that the system triggers. The loan conflicts with a booking request. The due date must be shortened. This happens because there is a request which starts at later on today at 2 p.m. July 17th, and if this item would have been loaned out, it would have gone out for a day. But of course it cannot go out for a day because somebody has booked it for a couple of hours from now. So if you want to get this item, you can take it out, but you will have to get a shortened due date for that. You will not be able to get it for an entire day. I can decide to cancel this and say if I cannot take it out for the entire loan period, then forget about it. But I can go on and override this. And what overriding actually means is that I will get the shortened due date indeed. The system will never allow you to take out a resource and by that make a booking request unfillable. So you get it till the due date, till the booking request starts, actually half an hour before the booking request starts because of the preview time. So I got it now for a shortened period of time. Now, as you notice, the message that we got on the screen was actually an error or a block, and may be configurable in the block preferences, just like any other blocks may be configurable. So you may turn off this ability to get it out for shortened time and just make it a block that is not overridable and just not allow any loans that conflict with bookings, and that's it. Or you can set it up to enable it to go out for a shortened due date. That is done in the block preferences, just like you do for any other blocks. So I will not go into that right now. I would like to go on with this demonstration and show what will happen when the requester actually comes to get this item. So what I'll do now is I'll return this item that has been loaned to the other patron for the shortened due date. So I'm doing a return. And what I'll now do is that I'll approach the desk as the actual requester. So this is my requester. It has some blocks, that's okay. And it's gonna get out, it's gonna loan out this item, the item that we've booked. Yes, I mistyped the barcode. So now what the system will do is making out this loan. It's gonna see that there is a request, that there is a booking request for this patron, and it's actually gonna fulfill the booking request with this loan. So the due date is not going to be calculated based on the normal loan policies, but will make use of the booking request. And since the booking request was to get this item until 5 p.m., the resource will be loaned until 5 p.m., which is what I've requested in my booking request. The request will be considered actually fulfilled, so that it is no longer on my request list. It's actually now become a loan. I do not see it on my request list. I have it on loan to me right now. Now, being that this loan has been made to fulfill a booking request, it will be considered unrecallable, and anybody else that will try to request this item will not have a recall, meaning the due date cannot be shortened. It's a due date that has been guaranteed through a booking request, so the system will never shorten it, even if policies do allow for recalls. So just to sum it up, we've seen how to place booking requests. We've seen the relevant policies, terms of use, and rules for enabling booking requests. We've seen how to place requests from Primo and from Alma. We've had an acquaintance with the availability calendar from Primo and from Alma. And we've seen how the booking requests are managed at the circulation desk. And this is where I end my presentation. Thank you.